We have a very big convention that will be happening here, you know, the joint, I think the G7, that will be happening soon as well, and Kenya and France cooperation, that will be very key happening here in the country. So amidst of all these diplomatic gaffes, as you know, Dr. Martin Olobo will call them, how then do we salvage our face in light of what is really coming and try and, you know, somehow, you know, snuff out all these negative voices around diplomacy in our country?
I think less. I mean, I'm not a political animal, so but I'll dabble a little bit into what I can compare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's look at the world today, and look at the leaders around the world. How many of them are doing exactly the same thing? How many leaders are making these gaffes? You got one in the, you know, you got one who's got his own social media handle and is doing all sort of stuff.
It is
I mean,
social.
how many gaffes are happening in that place? Very many. So it looks like we have a political class globally that is just not behaving the way we are used to them behaving in the past. Put that on top of, in Africa, 70% of the population that is also not recognizing that thing. Now that 70% of the population, as you're saying, is unruly. When that 70% of the population decide that we are not unruly the way you think we are, what will happen? It is a large percentage of our population in Africa. And we focus on the Gen Z. The Gen X are quiet, but the Gen X and the Gen Z are exactly the same. The Gen Z are vocal and they're seen. The Gen X is quiet, they're waiting for something to happen and they support. The Gen Alphas are listening and waiting. So we've got a large population in Africa that is being frowned upon by a very small group, the likes of us, you know, baby boomers and all these people, who are looking down on these people and trying to discipline them. These people, the ammunition they have is not political rhetoric. They have got their own social media, they've got all these things that are sitting there. And when they decide to unleash those, they will not longer be considered unruly because they can actually turn the political tide very, very quickly. And I think by sort of trying to poke their eyes with the kind of things we are saying, I think we are doing a disservice to our countries. They should actually be recognized for what they can do rather than being vilified. And by being recognized and being coached and being brought up, our countries can be a much, much better place in terms of growth, in terms of generation of GDP, and in terms of basically getting better countries in the future. But calling them unruly, I am very uncomfortable with that. I'm very, very uncomfortable with that. And when you see what people are doing into Africa, the French are coming to.
Yes.
They're coming here, in fact, in a week's time. We are having the Africa, you know, the
France Summit.
France Summit. Why is that happening? It's because the opportunity for trading in Africa is big. But if Africans can't trade, other people will come and teach us how to trade. And they're going to invest in Africa. And then we end up saying, our stuff is going out, our stuff is going out. We have to be smart enough to be able to recognize somebody who is willing to come in and invest in our country. And then we make sure that we get the best deal out of that investment. And that really is what is going to happen next week on Monday. When you have the summit, I'm going to be present in the sort of in the business side.
Okay.
That is precisely what we want to lock in, is to lock in the opportunity for getting that investment into Africa and making sure that we get value out of that investment in this country, in whichever way, whether it is people coming to manufacture here, or whether they're coming in that they want material that we have, we must do value addition in this country before we take it out. And those are the things we should be focusing on. Even the Dangote refinery people are talking about in Tanga. It's the same thing. Dangote, don't look at him as Nigerian or whatever it is. He is an investor. Somebody who has got money and is looking for a place to invest that money. And if we play around with his name and the kind of things that he can do, he'll put that investment somewhere else. Right? Mozambique will be happy to have that investment in that place.
And we've always said he was here before,
Yeah.
you know, trying to put up
The cement
clinker here in the
and
country
he went
as
and
well.
put it in Tanzania.
Yeah, there was a dead hand of the bureaucracy and corruption.
So
yes, that really came along.
I talking about the Gen Zs and all or whatever there is and belittling them, I think is a big mistake. Those are the future of our country. And whilst they operate in a different way, maybe from what we don't understand, let us understand what they're talking about and let us turn that into an opportunity for making Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda great again.
Fantastic. But does